Hey guys, Ambience here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to beat Night 6 on Five Nights at Freddy's 2, so let's go ahead and get straight into it. This is of course a bonus night that you unlock after beating the main game. I have made guides for every one of those nights, so if you're not quite at this point yet, or you just want to be caught up with the strategy, I would highly recommend checking those out. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it. So as usual, you are going to want to flip over to cam 11 and start winding up the music box. It does tend to wind down pretty quickly on this night, as you can see. I'll let it go for a second. That's how quick it reaches 3/4, so make sure you keep it wound up. Once the more dangerous music starts, then we are going to want to start flashing the hallway. You don't actually need to be checking the vents at this point, but I prefer to, as when I'm talking I can't hear the audio cues super clearly, so basically once you hear banging in the vents, that's when you would normally start checking them, but since I can't hear very well right now, then I'm just going to check them from the start. Alright. So there are a couple properties unique to Night 6 that I wanted to talk about, or they aren't necessarily unique to Night 6, but you won't have encountered them before in a normal playthrough. And the first and most obvious one is Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy actually does have a very rare chance to spawn on Nights 2 through 5, but I didn't mention him in those guides, so I didn't confuse any of you guys, because the chance of him appearing is very low, so it won't affect the normal run most of the time. Alright, so let's talk about how to deal with Golden Freddy now. So, his main mechanic, as I'm sure you guys know, is appearing in the office slumped over. There are two ways to get rid of him here. You can either put on the Freddy Fazbear mask, or you can raise the monitor. Obviously, putting on the mask is the much safer option here, which you should be doing anyway every time that you drop the monitor, so it won't really be much of an issue. Unlike the other office animatronics, Golden Freddy will instantly disappear after being warded off, which means you don't actually waste any time getting rid of him. So basically it's just like a minor inconvenience if you're not playing well, but otherwise he literally doesn't matter. However, he does have a secondary mechanic that can be a little bit troublesome occasionally. Rarely you can see his head at the end of the hallway, and if you shine the flashlight on that for too long, or you flash it too many times, then his head will fly out of the hallway and attack you. So in order to prevent this, of course, you're just going to want to look at the end of the hallway. If you see Golden Freddy's head there, stop flashing the light immediately, and you should be fine. Don't worry about dying to Foxy this way. You're just going to flash, see him there, and then pull up the monitor, put it down, and then start checking again. Alright, let's put on the mask, get rid of Mangle here. There we go. As soon as the radio static stops, then that's when you're going to want to start moving again. Music box does wind down very quickly on this night, so basically, like, make sure that you're not winding it for over, I'd say 7 ticks is probably good on Night 6. It depends on how well you're dealing with Foxy previously, so if you flashed him a lot recently, you might be able to afford to wind up for an extra tick or two. But yeah, it does wind down very quickly, so keep in mind, this night is very luck-based. Sometimes you'll get just a really bad chain of events, like animatronics will just keep showing up, they'll keep forcing down the monitor, and you won't be able to keep the music box wound up properly. So that sucks, but try not to get discouraged. You probably are going to lose this night a couple times, even if it is completely out of your control, so I wouldn't stress out about it too much. Next thing I wanted to talk about for this night are the AI levels. The AI levels, as you would expect, are pretty high, considering this is Night 6. At 2 a.m., they actually kick up quite a lot, and the night becomes significantly more difficult. You actually do not have to worry about Toy Freddy, Toy Bunny, or Toy Chica before 2 a.m., but they do activate with an AI of 5 after that. Foxy and the Puppet, obviously, have very high AIs on this night, as they are the main threats. BB and Mangle, especially Mangle, have AI levels kick up after 2 a.m., so Mangle's going to be a much more constant threat. And Golden Freddy can start appearing a lot more frequently also. And that was incredibly weird. Mangle literally just disappeared out of existence like within 0.1 seconds of me putting on the mask. So, I'm fine with it. Alright, Balloon Boy is gone. Make sure to flash the hallway a few extra times, of course, after warding off the vent animatronics, just to keep them busy. So, basically, this night's kind of, actually relaxing. Relaxing feels like the wrong word to use, but compared to later, I think it definitely fits. So, it's actually pretty relaxing, I guess, before 2 a.m., and then it just becomes an absolute nightmare. So, once again, you're probably going to fail this the first couple times. If you actually do this first try, never attempting it before, then huge props to you. I could not do that. I could not come close. Okay, I think they're gone now. I'm going to be a little quieter than usual at some points, by the way, as I do have to listen for audio cues just to ensure that I actually survived this night. But one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, really the other thing that I wanted to mention in this video, is don't rush. So what I mean by this, obviously you are going to have to move very fast. It is Five Nights at Freddy's, and that requires moving very fast, obviously. But you're going to want to plan out your moves in advance by a couple seconds, instead of just throwing your mouse everywhere, like completely panicking, just don't panic, basically. Like, Night 6 is obviously very stressful, but just kind of have a strategy going into it, predict what you're going to do over the next few seconds, if possible, and just try to keep some order. Because if you start throwing your mouse everywhere, and you start trying to do things too fast, like you start not even paying attention to what's in the vents when you check the lights, that's going to be problematic, and it's probably going to get you killed many, many times. So just calm down a little bit. Like, when it's required, yes, you are going to have to move very quickly, but don't rush through everything. If you can take your time on something, then do it. That was very close, and I honestly do not know how I am alive. I actually stopped talking because I thought I was going to die there 100%. So, here's something that you guys may not know. This is unique to Toy Bonnie, as far as I know. Toy Chica may have this property also. This is going to be real close. I really hope I got that. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to lose this. Alright, it's 5 a.m. I'm probably going to make it. Oh boy. As you can see, guys, this night's very, very difficult. I'm honestly just glad that I made it to 5 a.m. Hopefully I can finish this out. So, sorry if this guide wasn't, like, incredibly informative, but I think you actually learn a little bit more by watching the gameplay than the general tips that I'm going to give you. Just see how I react to things and how I deal with situations. Basically, if you're in a situation where you are 100% going to die, if you do not wind the music box or you do not flash the hallway, forget about everything else. If there's no way that you can ward off a vent animatronic, like Toy Bonnie, just pull up the monitor and wind up the music box. Drop it as soon as you can afterward. Like, as soon as you get enough ticks that you can actually survive. But basically, in some situations where it's really, really bad, sometimes you're just going to have to risk everything. Worst case scenario is you lose, which, you know, was going to happen anyway. And sometimes you can actually pull off some really clutch things like I did during this video. So we should be real close to 6 a.m. I just want to ensure that I hit it, because I have had to attempt this multiple times now. There's BB. Alright, guys, there we go, 6 a.m. So as you can see, Night 6 is very hectic. I'm going to try to give out some more general tips since I was stressing out a lot during that run, which is ironic because one of my tips was to not stress out a bunch. But basically, I was just being quieter because I needed to actually hear audio cues. I definitely should have done post-commentary for this in hindsight, but, you know, might as well make the best of it. So, as I was saying earlier, don't rush if possible. Like, you're going to have to move fast, like I said, but plan out what you're doing just a couple seconds in advance. Don't go crazy with the mouse or anything. Move quickly, but make sure that you're paying attention to everything. You want as much information as possible. If you don't have information in FNaF 2, then it's going to be very difficult, no matter how mechanically talented you are. So just slow it down a little bit when it's possible. Take your time. Make sure you check the vent. If you're sure there's nothing there, the instant you're absolutely 100% sure there's nothing in the right vent, that's when you pull up the monitor. Otherwise, there's a very high chance that you can get killed. And sometimes you're going to be pushed into very high pressure situations, very clutch situations, and at this point, there is a very high chance that you will lose, but it is sometimes possible to get out of this like I did on this run. I'm actually really glad that happened, so I got to kind of showcase to you guys what it looks like. So if you're in that situation where you have to wind up the music box, but Toy Bonnie's in the vent, if he just got there, sometimes there are a couple seconds where you can pull up the monitor and you can wind up the music box, and this can get you out of a very clutch situation, but I would not recommend it at all unless it's absolutely necessary. So by this point, you guys should have fast enough reflexes. Sometimes you will have a little bit of a goof. Sometimes you will die to the weird animatronics, I would imagine, on this night or 1020. I've done it before also. So you got the mechanics part down, basically. It's just being aware of everything and just being able to not panic, I think, because that's what FNaF really, that's what you have to do to be a great player, is you have to kind of overcome the fear or the panic of it. And FNaF 2 is just a very stressful game, even if you're not remotely scared of anything in it. So, anyway, guys, yeah, just try to calm it down basically a little bit. Don't be doing all these crazy movements with your mouse that are completely unnecessary to try to make it look cool or think you have to go way faster than you actually do. So, yeah, just plan out your moves in advance. Don't panic, and just keep trying, because there are going to be a few times probably where you will lose this night, even if it's totally out of your control, and that's very frustrating. But eventually, if you keep trying, I have confidence that you will do it. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching this guide. I hope it helped you, and I will see you in the next one.